วัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. Today I am making street food, something called ข้าวขาหมู and it's been requested so many times by so many people. ข้าว means rice and ขาหมู means pork leg. So it's a pork leg stew served over rice. And in my top 5 rice dishes video, the one that I filmed in Thailand, I actually talked about this as being one of the top 5 you must try when you go to Thailand. It's not as difficult as it might seem. It just takes a little bit of time. You can definitely do it. Let's get started. So even though this is technically a pork leg stew, you don't have to stick with pork, okay? The sauce is what's really good here, and so it'll work with beef shank, it'll work with lamb shank, it'll even work with dark meat chicken, so whatever you like, go with it. But I'm going to do pork leg, which is what's traditional, and your butcher might call it pork shank or pork hock. If you have a choice, get the hind leg. It has more meat than the front leg. So what I've done here is I've just seared the outside a bit, and it's an optional step, you don't have to do it, but what it does, it promotes browning, improves flavor, but more importantly, it renders out a lot of the fat underneath the skin, and so when you go to stew it, there's less fat. So if you think that's too much work, don't worry about it. But if you do want to sear it, make sure it's very, very dry and that you've got some sort of a splash guard because the oil does tend to splatter quite a bit. I'm going to just put that right into the pot. And stews, by the very nature of it, it's very easy. You throw everything in the pot and you let it go pretty much. Traditionally, what we also do is we put in the foot of the pork, what we call kaki. There's a special term for pork foot. And the foot, even though it doesn't have a lot of meat, it has a lot of connective tissue that makes the soup, make the stock really, really delicious. So I'm gonna put that in. If it freaks you out, don't worry about it. But because I'm putting the foot in, it allows me to use water instead of stock. If you're not gonna put in the foot, then I suggest maybe you use pork stock or chicken stock as a base, and then just cover it with water or stock, whatever you're using. That's good. In goes with the seasoning. Some Golden Mountain sauce, which is just a kind of soy sauce. If you don't have it, can't find it, you can use Maggi or you can use regular soy sauce. I've also got some soy sauce. I'm not gonna put in everything. I'm gonna save a little bit to adjust at the end. Oyster sauce. At this point, I'm gonna put some sugar, some palm sugar. You can also use cane sugar. Rock sugar is sometimes used for this dish. So let this go and let it come to a simmer and let it go for about 30 to 45 minutes and we'll get back to it. So it's been about 45 minutes and it's already smelling really good. There's just a little bit of scum on top, as you can see. I'm gonna skim that off. And this is why I didn't want to add all my herbs and spices, because then it would make this job a lot harder. The two most important herbs in khao kha mu is cinnamon and star anise, okay? And then in addition to that, I've got some Szechuan peppercorns, which are these little things, and I don't know, it's got this citrusy, peppery smell. It's really hard to describe. I've got some cracked white peppercorns and some dried shiitake mushrooms. They're going to give this rich umami savoriness into the soup. So I'm going in with all of this stuff. And then I'm also going to add some cilantro roots, garlic, and galangal. Now cilantro roots looking a little wet because it was previously frozen, which you can totally do if you don't have a steady supply of cilantro roots. One seasoning that I had forgotten about earlier is dark soy sauce. I'm gonna put that in, and I'm just noticing that now because the color is not quite as dark as it should be. So dark soy sauce, it's primarily for color, but it's also got some molasses in it, so it's gonna add an interesting, deep, rich flavor. You basically add it until you've got a color that you like. That's looking good for now, and you can always adjust later. All right, so now is when you gotta leave it for another 2.5 hours. And you also, what I like to do is cover this because I am going to let this go for like 2.5 hours. I don't want the liquid drying off. And there's also a theory out there that if you let it open, then all the smell of the herbs and spices escape into the air. This way you kind of trap and force them back in. I don't know how true that is, but I'm gonna go with it. So I'm about 20 minutes away from being done, and this place is smelling amazing. I've got 2 more things to go in here. First, eggs. Khao kha mu is always served with hard-boiled eggs, and the secret is you first get it to medium boil. So these are actually medium boiled. I boiled it for 8 minutes. And then I'm gonna let it finish cooking in this for another 20 minutes, okay? The second thing going in is pickled mustard greens. Now, because this stew is really rich and predominantly salty and sweet, I need something that's sour and crunchy to balance everything out, because Thai food, after all, is all about the right balance of flavors. You can get this at Asian grocery stores, but the truth is you can use any kind of pickled vegetables that's crunchy and sour. So sauerkraut will actually work for this, or if you got pickled carrots, pickled beans, whatever pickles you have, it'll work for this as well. Let's check out our stew. Smells so good. So in goes my eggs. Now I know if you're thinking, you're gonna let the eggs cook for another 20 minutes, it's gonna be like overcooked boiled eggs. Which, there is a point there. But in Thailand, we actually like the eggs for this dish to be really firm, and this 20 minutes is gonna allow all that flavor to absorb into the egg. So that's actually what we like. If you don't like that, just let the egg simmer for a couple minutes until it goes from medium boiled to hard boiled. Make sure the eggs are submerged. Now this, I actually rinsed it off. It came in the pickling juice, and that's just gonna be too much. So I rinsed it off with just some cold water, and just gonna let this simmer so it absorbs all that flavor as well. Now you don't have to put that much in. You can just put in however much you want to serve. And at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out my pork foot, because I'm noticing the eggs don't have a whole lot of room to sit in. So I'll just take it out to make room for the eggs, because the foot's done its job at this point anyway. This is pretty much done, and look at that. Doesn't that not look like a feast? So I'm just taking all the good stuff out, and then what's left in this pot is the sauce, the good stuff that I'm gonna pour over my rice. So I'm going to go in with this handy thing here and just scoop out all the herbs and spices. And then I'm going to do a final taste adjustment of the sauce to make sure that it's spot on. A little more salt. You definitely don't want to over season it in the beginning, because then the only way to fix it is to add more water, but by doing that you're also diluting the concentration of the spices and all the aroma. Yes. So you're looking for salty followed by sweet with really prominent aroma of the cinnamon and star anise. And then all the tartness is going to come from the pickled mustard greens that I've got going on. So now all I have to do is plate everything on rice, because after all, this is khao kha mu. Now in Thailand, the big deal about this dish is the skin. The skin is like the best part, because once it's been cooking, it gets all soft and it practically melts in your mouth. And because it's on the outside, it's absorbed most of the flavor from the soup, so it's super, super good. Now in Thailand, it also comes with this chili vinegar sort of dipping sauce that you can pour over. I will include a recipe for that. It's a snap to make. It's just vinegar, chili, and garlic. Oh, that meat is so tender. Even though it's quite rich, the pickle, that crunchy tartness of the pickle just balances everything out. I can eat this a few times a week. Maybe not every day, but a few times a week. If you give this a try, let me know how it goes. The recipe is on hotthaikitchen.com. Send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I will see you next time for another delicious Thai meal.